moments. Before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we've gathered the greatest gags and silliest sketches featuring Rowan Atkinson's iconic comic character. We'll be focusing on live action performances today from the TV series and feature-length films, though Atkinson's famous appearance at the London 2012 opening ceremony isn't included, due to director Danny Boyle's suggestion that the character wasn't 100% Bean. Number 10, At the Hairdressers.
It's alright, keep the change. Oh, say thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much.
If there's ever an occupation that Bean probably shouldn't take up, then it's this one. In the penultimate episode from the original series, Atkinson's character stands in at a barbershop, only to systematically ruin every barnet he gets his hands on.
Sorry, look, can I just leave Jamie here with you for a moment? I mean, I've left my purse in the shop back there. Just give him a good haircut, will you? Be good, Jamie.
He only went in for a quick trim, but events soon get out of hand and a series of customers are quickly and clumsily restyled. From toupees to ponytails, no hairdo is safe, but Bean dodges their anger with a royal disguise.
Have you seen this? Sir.
Number 9, Running Late. Despite an apparently foolproof alarm clock system, even Bean can oversleep. Here we get a glimpse of his typical morning routine before he notices the time and his day descends into chaos. A sketch which you probably shouldn't try to recreate, Bean's Mini becomes his wardrobe for one intense and inventive drive through town. But ultimately, you have to admire the man's dexterity and flexibility. Of course, this isn't the only example of Bean's poor timekeeping. Even an everyday cup of coffee can set him off. Number 8, The New Year's Eve Party.
Rupert. Hubert. Very good. Take your what's-it-all.
As 1993 draws to a close, our next clip sees Bean throw a New Year's Eve party at his place. It's not what you call a rowdy affair, and his guests would much rather be at the flat next door, but Bean plays the hospitable host regardless. But his homemade wine and snacks prove the last straw, or should that be twig? A quick tampering with the clocks and Bean's led to believe that the festivities have finished.
Well, it's late. Yes, well, you must be going. Here we go. I'll just get the knob.
Leading to a rather heartbreaking moment when he realises the truth. Number 7, The Ruined Work of Art.
My job is to sit and look at paintings. Just him and the painting.
While Bean has taken his tweed to the big screen on multiple occasions, his first feature-length is probably the best. Directed by Mel Smith, the movie sees Bean head to Hollywood via airport security, having somehow hoodwinked his colleagues into believing he's an expert on art. But here's where the ruse begins to unravel. Tasked with taking care of a priceless oil painting, he promptly defaces the $50 million masterpiece.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus, God! Oh, Mary, Mother of Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth!
A disaster if ever we've seen one, it kickstarts a series of unfortunate, absurd and hilarious events. Number 6, Sleeping in Church. Fulfilling his godly duty, Bean stops by his local church next, although the rest of the congregation probably wishes he hadn't bothered, especially the chap sitting next to him. This scene from the very first episode reveals exactly what Bean is all about. He's a well-meaning man who struggles to comprehend even the simplest of daily tasks. Richard Briers plays the unfortunate soul who has to share his pew, as Bean's boredom reaches greater and greater heights. Heaven help us. Number 5, The DIY Sale. We've already seen what happened on New Year's Eve, but at least Bean's early night meant he was bright and breezy for the January sales. Atkinson's character is determined to bag a cut-price armchair, and he'll double-cross a queue of bargain hunters to do so. But how to get it home? A world-famous moment, the journey finishes with a feathery flourish. and with the armchair in place, Bean can tackle the rest of his home improvements with an equally unconventional approach. Number 4, at the dentist. You remember when Mr. Bean was running late? Well, this is the appointment he was so desperate to make. Another everyday scenario gone gloriously awry, Bean arrives for a routine checkup but leaves having caused all kinds of havoc. Taking a typically childlike interest in everything around him, he just can't keep his hands to himself. Richard Wilson's dentist is none the wiser until Bean accidentally incapacitates him. From there, Bean has free rein to do his own dental work, and he makes the most of it. Number 3, preparing the turkey. The Bean Christmas special is essential festive viewing, with a sleigh full of hilarious highlights. First, there's the trip to Harrods. And then there's the choir singers, but the calamitous Christmas dinner tops it all. The turkey prep reaches another level of ridiculousness, as Bean's attempts to cook a feast spiral into farce. Still, the meagre meal needn't dampen the romance, there's still the exchanging of gifts after all. But has he bought the right present? What do you think?
I've got it here.
Number 2, at the swimming pool. For the opening scene from the Emmy Award-winning 3rd episode, The Curse of Mr. Bean, we are poolside for a famous moment. First, Bean comes a cropper on the kid slide, no thanks to Angus Deaton.
Get out of there, please!
Before he decides on a spot of diving. Headed straight to the high board, he's a picture of confidence until he gets to the edge. Folding his body to physically embody the fear that's coursing through his character, it's Atkinson at his awkward best. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. Number 1, a spot of lunch. Sandwich making should be simple enough, right? But the mundane becomes magnificent when Bean prepares a bite to eat. Another sketch involving Angus Deaton, this time as an entirely bemused stranger in the park. Today's winner sees Bean showcase his unorthodox culinary skills. Swapping his traditional blazer for a jacket with apparently endless pocket space, he creates a wholly unappetizing snack, but there is method to the madness. On the one hand, it's completely bizarre, on the other, it's quite ingenious. It's the Mr. Bean mantra in one sensational scene.